to see all the people that are joining in, or?
Probably not.
Having a little trouble here.
Lights are still kind of bright. See how washed out we are?
You want to turn that more?
Might look better. What do you think?
Bear with me 1 second.
We're blurry, actually.
Looks better. We're not as washed out. We've got a big ugly fat guy. We've got Chris Kringle over here.
Yeah, I weigh more than you do.
I wasn't, that wasn't your reference. You were Chris Kringle.
Oh,
Yeah, what you gonna call me?
Probably challenged like me.
I wonder if it's trying to display on another
Right.
screen.
So we're up to 38.1.
I bet it's on another screen somewhere.
actually talked to,
Which one is that? It's not running.
It's less than 3 million a year, a month.
And it won't let me do anything. It won't let me edit it. It won't let me. So I'm gonna go here.
Yeah.
It's available for sale.
Oh,
Just Control V.
We're not, we don't.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
Yes.
you see that box back there?
Yeah, I know. I saw that. Yeah, I like that. That's pretty good.
Yeah, but that name?
That's the brand. I know. I know. That doesn't change. Text print doesn't change.
I understand, but you know,
Text print sublimation paper. Text print. Didn't win that one.
I know.
Hang on a second.
Okay, guys. Got a little streaming issue with Facebook, but nothing new. So, want to welcome our Condi audience. I'm David Gross with Condi Systems. We're very grateful that you are sharing your Wednesday with us. And of course, we record this, and you might be watching it later. Every Wednesday, we really like to pull in one of our partners or of someone of interest to us to help you grow your business. It's very simple. The recipe for success is just like cooking. Put all the quality ingredients together and cook properly, and you're going to have a great product. And it's my honor to have with us the great folks from Beaver Paper. So if you'll go around the room, guys, and just do a quick introduction of who you are and maybe tell us what you do at the Beaver Company, Beaver Paper.
Okay, David, I'll start off. My name's Jeff Mills. Technically, I'm the fabric product manager for Beaver Paper, managing the fabrics from fabric development to inventory, and help with the sales folks selling in Beaver Paper. My other job that I do is actually working with Condi Systems, and working with them to be their rep to answer questions or to give them information that they need.
Awesome.
Hello, thanks for having us. I'm Patrick Moore. I head up the print lab. I'm the print lab manager here at Beaver Paper, responsible for quality control, product development, and sales technical support.
Good afternoon, folks. Bill Shuford, sales here at Beaver Paper, and my only goal here is to learn as much as I can.
Hi, I'll make this short because I could probably talk for an hour, but my name is Brian Weiss. I'm one of the former owners of Beaver Paper. And along with Phil Prier, we're the ones who got us into sublimation. I don't know, 20 odd years ago, we started, or longer, we started with sublimation tissue that we developed with a few paper mills. And I'm here, now that we've sold the company complete to Kohler, Germany, I'm here on a contract basis just to help out and with the interaction and the turnover from Kohler to, from Beaver to Kohler. And again, I know a lot of stuff. I've been involved in everything, so if you have any questions, you can ask
Well,
them, and I'm sure one of us could.
oh,
could
sure.
figure it all out.
Well, you know, my first question is, why in the world do we need sublimation paper?
Well, basically, with the sublimation paper, the purpose of sublimation paper is you've got a coating on the paper itself, okay? And that coating allows, actually captures the ink during a printing process, captures the ink, so you're able to release the ink, the paper, the dye onto your object when you're sublimating it. It allows you to get an even sublimation. So that's really why you need sublimation paper. Without it, you would have, you know, the ink would go into the fibers of the paper, and you would get different releasing times and get the different, you wouldn't get the prints that you get on your surfaces, whether it be the hard surfaces or the fabric surfaces.
Yeah, you know, we've had all sorts of people try plain paper, and you know, it does work. We have, of course, dot gain, where, you know, the ink spreads out and the ink doesn't quite as release as well, and of course the quality isn't there. But again, I tell people that the physics of sublimation is sublimation ink is the active ingredient. We often internally call sublimation ink, of course, dispersed dyes. That's what they are. And so any ideas, you know, sort of, how long have people been doing sublimation?
Oh, my.
I guess I might have to answer that one. Sublimation started in France, and hence sublimation, it was really sublimation, and it was, obviously it's a French word, and it started there 50, 60 years ago. And to answer your question, I can just answer that with a story. I grew up playing hockey, and as you know, those days, everything was silkscreen. So we got our new hockey jerseys, and obviously with silkscreen, and we had our first game, and David's mother decided to wash his beautiful new white sweater with red, whatever the name of our team was at the time, and then he showed up with at the next game with a pink sweater. So the biggest reason why there's sublimation is, one of the big reasons is that wouldn't happen with sublimation. The ink gets dispersed, and there's a chemical bond with the ink and the polyester at 400 degrees Celsius, and sorry, Fahrenheit, and because of and because of that, you get a permanent bond with the chemicals. And if it was today, you know, I still play hockey, I still get new jerseys, and when I wash them, the vibrant colors are still there, and they last forever. You can wash it 100 times. So in my opinion, that's probably one of the biggest gains that you can get from using sublimation as opposed to the old inherent silk screening, but which people still do silk screen, but because you can do it on cotton. But that's probably one of the best reasons I can come up with for dissecting.
Yeah, you know, you look at my the face mask here, and who could have guessed that I'd be holding a face mask this time? It's remarkable, and of course, sublimation is the ideal technology because it doesn't affect the fabric. It's not surface decorated. It doesn't affect the breathability of it, and you can't wash it out. It's of course dyed in the fabric itself. You know, internally we call the process dye diffusion because, you know, we're diffusing the dyes into the product, and it's just an amazing phenomenon of nature, right? you know. I don't think anybody really created it. It's like the force of gravity. We've just simply learned to harness the power of sublimation, right? So the question for you, so you're on the paper side of this equation, and give us sort of from the desktop up how Beaver has become really world renowned in its, we'll call it release paper for sublimation.
I like that. Can I ask one question, David? Sublimate, that's an interesting word. We haven't touched on that. Is there any interest in discussing that at all?
Sure, go ahead.
I love your question, but as the chemical engineer in the group and making paper, sublimation, it's hard to think of a liquid bottle of ink having solid pigments in there, right? But those dyes, excuse me, sure. And those dyes, essentially the word sublimate means to go from that solid all the way to the gas that is dispersed, diffused into the polyester, like David said, without ever going through the liquid phase. It's really interesting. I guess it's like dry ice. You have a solid dry ice that goes right into the gaseous phase. But that's the engineering explanation of a sublimation. Sorry, Jeff, you were getting ready to answer the better question of our proliferation of our products from desktop.
David, we basically got started, as Brian said, around 2000 with the development of tissue for the sublimation of the silk screening sublimation, and that was done by replacing basically what craft paper was used for. And then, but in 2007 was our first development of the XP. That was like our first version of the XP was in 2007. And with that development, that got us up to capability of printing, up to 104 inches. Around about 2010, you had all the grand format machines starting to be developed, and most of them were insolvent, and a lot, and we actually, Brian and Phil were actually able to develop our first coated sublimation paper for solvent printing around 2010. So from that standpoint, we went from 2010, the development of the water-based inks, the development, we were able to adjust and develop a coating to, for the water-based ink for sublimation paper. And from that point on, the development of basically with all the printers, the new technology that was done, everybody was, one-upping everybody on the printers. Different papers were developed depending on the speed of the printers or what the needs were. And I think that's really how the development of the different papers that we have was all developed because of what the printers were actually doing and what the speed and the processes they were using it for. So now you have it on, fashion prints, hard surfaces, signage. The signage itself in the last 5 years is changed dramatically. So that's pretty much how the development of these papers did.
Yeah, I'd describe a little bit of the world we live in. I describe it as it's the Google world that we all live in, and it's I want it my way, and I want it now, and that's what sublimation can deliver to you. It's perfect for somebody like me who has a bad case of ADD. It's like instant gratification, And another point to get you to comment on, we live in a, more and more we live in we'll call it a green conscious world, We all want to be good citizens and good stewards. And I think that's where sublimation has always been that green technology, We use simple paper, really. We use water-based inks. So I guess that's something that I guess we don't always promote that, but it's
Paper is a renewable resource.
yeah.
That's one part.
So it's simple. So the coatings you use are not in any way harmful to the environment, right? They're simple coatings that I assume the paper can be recycled if the client does that.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. So what a built-in success, and of course we all know that sublimation, pardon the pun, it has truly gone viral. You know, as the Condi family knows, we are now perpetually out of printers waiting for the next, you know, batch of printers to come in, which I think hopefully is the end of the week, next week. You know, and our friends at Epson, they're struggling to keep up. Muto, pretty good kind of stuff. And so you folks really cover what I see the large sweet spot of paper, things like that. So can I use, say, a paper that would be designed for an Epson? Can I use it in a Sawgrass Ricoh printer?
No. And the reason why is because the ink set is different. So we have a paper called TexPrint Ricoh, or R, and the R designation is specific to the Ricoh ink and the Ricoh print head that requires the ink to have it's kind of a higher viscosity, if you will, ink than your Epson ink. So the paper needs different qualities to dry the paper, absorb the paper faster, instead of sitting on the surface. So if your customers, and you might get this, we get this a lot, is they call saying, hey, my paper's wet, it won't dry. And it's, okay, what paper do you have? And they say TPXP. And I said, okay, and what printer do you have? I have a SG 400. And I was like, well, there's your problem. You have the wrong paper.
True enough. So the paper has to be matched to the printer, and I see a lot of folks that buy their papers, you know, just say on Amazon or something, and they're buying a paper that is just not going to dry properly. And if you put a piece of sublimation paper with wet ink down on a substrate, guess what? You're going to have steam, and it's going to ruin your substrate. It's not going to work. You're going to have blowout. You're going to have a shadow print, aura around it. It's just not going to work properly with that because it didn't dry. And plus, wet ink piled on top of wet ink is just going to smear. So so you folks engineer your coatings for the ink for the printer.
Exactly.
Correct.
And David, it might be worth sharing that we've used the word Ricoh multiple times, but you have a brand of printers that you sell today under the Virtuoso name, which are Ricoh printers. So folks, as you hear the word Ricoh, you can substitute Virtuoso. And then David mentioned earlier the Epson printers. Well, that is just a different ink set, like was mentioned, but it's just your traditional water-based disperse inks. It does require a different coating to absorb that ink, or dye, excuse me, and dry, not smear, and provide all of the qualities that you need when you actually sublimate. Sorry, David, I just thought I'd throw that in there.
Oh yeah, thank you. Yeah. So the R paper that you have, that's been out quite a few years, maybe 12 or 14 years.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, so it's a very proven formula. It dries properly, available in many sizes. And, you know, then you move up into the Epson world. You got a different technology paper for it. And, of course, for instance, the Epson F570, that's a roll printer, so we can use the Beaver technology papers on that. So that would be an XP kind of paper. And we're trying to start releasing a tack paper for the 570. So tell us, as we move up into the roll printers like the 570, so some people always ask for the tack paper. What is tack paper? What's it good for?
So the tack paper is a sublimation paper that in the final step of creating it, we apply an adhesive layer, if you will, that's heat activated during the sublimation press. So what it's designed to do is to hold the image or hold the paper to the substrate during the transfer process, so it doesn't bounce or ghost the image, and or some stretch fabrics will stretch during the process, and the adhesive layer prevents that from causing any major print defects.
Gotcha.
Oh, did I say shrink? No. As well as some of the thinner fabrics or the cheaper fabrics that are on the market that stretch bidirectional have a tendency to shrink. So if to prevent that shrinkage or to prevent issues with the print quality during the shrinking process, that adhesive layer can minimize that shrinkage during the sublimation process.
Right, within reason.
Within reason.
Within reason, yeah. So on the tack paper, is that available in cut sheet?
No, and the reason why it is not is because in the desktop world, the necessity for it to dry is significantly faster than someone printing on a 44 or 64-inch wide printer because of the time that it takes to print. So when you're printing an 8.5 by 11, you need to be dry in like 30, 40 seconds. And the coating and the adhesive layer, as well as the coating used in adhesive paper in the adhesive world, is not fast enough to dry that ink before the next piece comes lays in the tray.
Yeah, I think it would probably be also with the adhesive layer on there hard to feed it, because those have challenges in feeding paper if the paper is in some way stuck together. You get a little moisture in paper. Do you have any tips for people, say with cut sheet, in taking care of their paper, storage? Is moisture an issue out there with your paper?
Go ahead, Patrick. I think it can be, and in high humidity, high temperature environments, there's a tendency for the paper. The paper is gonna absorb the moisture in the air. So using a paper that has a high moisture content already, and then putting ink on top of it will lend itself to drying slower. So keeping it in plastic until you're ready to use it is always a good rule of thumb or a trick to maintain the integrity of the paper and at a low moisture content until you use it.
Yeah, I tell everybody to, especially if they're in a high humidity environment or an environment that's cycled. Some people will turn off their AC, get a lot of moisture in there. You turn them on. You can even have condensation, in certain environments, is to put your paper in a Tupperware container so that it's sealed away. And, many people, they've really caught on to using multiple sizes. And so, you need to take care of your paper, because if you don't, get some moisture, you're going to have feed problems, and in sublimation, my experience has been moisture is our evil enemy, because moisture turns into steam, and steam will carry the ink with it into directions, because as we know from a hurricane, nothing stops water. It's a force of nature that you're just wasting your time. as we found out through our good friend has left the room. Sally is gone, thank goodness. So, what's the value of using, in the cut sheet world, of using different size papers?
I guess really the biggest thing, David, would be the different sizes allows you to do the different things that you're looking for. You really don't need to oversize your paper if you're doing, you know, a particular small job. It just save on your costs of paper or your cost of doing a job, you know, when people are kind of pinching pennies or paying attention to, you know, what they're spending. The other thing would be having the papers to, you know, to actually fit properly underneath your heat press to make sure that you're covering the whole paper at one time.
Gotcha. For me, you know, having pre-cut papers like for mugs, all comes down to being left-handed. Scissors and I don't get along at all, and paper cutters, you know, still a little challenging there. But the bottom line is, certainly in the United States, our biggest cost is probably labor. So the less work we do in paper handling, the better off we are. And putting a stack of mug paper in the printer and printing away is really a dream come true, with efficiency. You know, so it really is nice, and it's very scalable. I know of a couple of big mug decorators they start off with a fancy big printer and trying to cut it with a fancy cutter, and they said no more. We're just going to take a couple of these small printers and churn out our mugs. And I think the little printers even tend to have a little bit better quality than the big printers. You know, because you can, you know, with a big printer, you can have subtle alignment issues from one edge to the other. Because again, it's got a long ways to travel and to stay in line. So let's talk about, are Beaver Papers made in China?
No,
No,
absolutely not.
Where are they made?
Go ahead.
I was gonna say domestically and in Germany and Europe, but more importantly, Beaver Paper is a manufacturer of paper. So there are some operations in other parts of the world where you buy a big old roll of paper and you send it to another coder that has some coating or some recipe that may not have the quality that you need for the definition, the drying, the real quality, and coat it and then provide paper. But all of the papers that are provided to you right now are basically one-step papers. And yes, we are the paper manufacturer.
So the papers that we're talking about here, they're made here in the United States?
One of the two, yes.
Okay. And of course, because now you're expanded your global reach with a manufacturing facility in Germany, we all know that Germany is known for its quality manufacturing.
Oh, without a doubt, without a doubt. And you know, I like the word global because we're blessed today, even as we survive this pandemic, we export to 51 countries today. And you know, sheets are not just a domestic product. So it's amazing the proliferation of the desktop world. It's just remarkable.
It truly is. So when are we going to?
Pops everywhere.
Yeah, you know, we say that respectfully and with love. We love all the business. It's amazing. It all adds up.
Yeah. When are you folks going to come out with, say, a sublimation paper that allows me to decorate a black shirt?
Oh, we're talking about a competitive product right now. It might be fair to say that that's an R&D project down the road, but that's as far as we can go.
Yeah. So, you know, everybody seems to ask the same questions: is when are we going to cotton? And we have a few products that we sell today that push us a little bit into the cotton world. And then people want to know, you know, when can I decorate a black piece of fabric. And of course, we all know that sublimation dyes the fabric. So if it's already black, it's a little hard to undye it. So we have some barriers to the laws of physics.
Well, you're better off selling them on making the whole shirt black from a white shirt instead of taking a black shirt and going white.
And that's exactly what you can do. You can dye it any color you want. In fact, what's become popular in our world, but I think it's still a hidden secret. I think sublimation used to be a hidden technology, but probably it's well known now. But people, including me, did not believe that we could sublimate to say a light colored piece of fabric with success. And the results that we get from light colors, pastels, is just absolutely stunning. And it all comes together: a great ink, a great paper, a great profile, all these put together, and suddenly you're getting a great release. You got a lot of dyes that are being diffused into that piece of fabric, and voila, you got a product that's now worth a lot of money. So really cool. So so you obviously have a quality product that's been around a long time. I think you probably support, pretty much every printer that's on the market, right? I mean,
Yes, we can.
who doesn't have a sublimation printer? I think the last holdout I could see was Canon, but now they have some sort of partnership. So Canon, HP, Epson, Muto, Roland, Mamaki, Sawgrass. Did I leave anybody out?
Sawgrass.
Yeah, you got the big printers, of course.
Okay, right, my bad.
And of course,
Reggiani.
so Reggiani. So let me ask you a question. So if somebody is doing desktop sublimation, why should they consider getting a bigger printer?
The easy answer is when it becomes a bottleneck, when their labor and their heat press and their demand can't keep up. That would necessitate printing on a roll, if you will, and just to print it faster.
Well,
There's thousands, maybe more than that, of all the promotionals and the hard substrates, which are typically easy handled by the desktop world. But as you move into textiles typically tends to be roll to roll. So as you move from a roll to roll environment, you typically find the larger printers, especially most textiles are between 52 and 60 inches, and that's why you see a pretty prevalent 44 and 64-inch printers in the market. Once you go beyond most promotional goods and hard substrates.
Yeah, for instance, the Epson 570, which to me is a very nice addition to we'll call it our desktop lineup. Even though it's edging up to being a big printer, I still call it a desktop. And one of the advantages from a textile point of view is that if you print on a big piece of paper, even though you don't have a big press, well, guess what? When you put that piece of paper on your shirt, the edge of the paper is off the heat press, and so suddenly you don't have to worry about getting crease marks on your textiles. So that's been a really pleasant surprise benefit, because most of the time we'd say, hey, if you're going to buy a big printer or a bigger printer, well, you're wasting your money if you don't buy a bigger heat press, So, but it is your ability to launch in there. So on these roll papers, you pretty much cover the gamut of papers. So, and for instance, what's the largest size roll you folks sell?
As far as in width, David, or as far as meters, or how long, how much paper is on a roll?
Width.
As far as width, it's 126 inches.
Wow. So that's obviously a big printer. Big printer.
Yes, and we typically call grand format type printing, and we'll go as far as narrow as 13 inches.
Yep. And I think we probably sell it 13, 17, 24 kind of stuff. Well,
That's right.
I'm going to see if there were some questions. I hadn't been looking at my phone, and maybe the folks can um, let's see here.
While you're looking, David, I mean, you mentioned that 126-inch roll, Jeff. We sell those even up to mill rolls, up to 3,500 pounds. I mean, it's amazing what some of the new print equipment can do.
Okay. Heard there were some audio problems, so hopefully those were cleared up. I'm not sure why there would be an audio problem here. I wish I had a list of questions. I'm not sure what's going on here. If, for whatever reason, they weren't able to hear you, we'll figure out how to do this again, because I think it was very helpful for you folks to spend your valuable time with us. And again, just to reiterate to folks that Beaver has been a partner of ours for many years, makes an outstanding product that essentially serves every aspect of our sublimation market. And I suspect that as your company has grown, we can expect some exciting new products from you. But of course, it's a matter of continuing the meat and potatoes of producing a great quality product at a low cost, high value equation. And so again, want to thank you all for being with us, and we appreciate the products you're producing for us and our clients, and we'll get back together again.
David, that sounds great.
All right.
We appreciate the opportunity to be with y'all.
Good deal. Thank you. Y'all take care.
Everybody take care. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.